Hey everyone, I hope you are doing well. Thanks for all the positive comments under my last videos. I try my best to improve the quality of the videos. And for everyone demanding to bring back Mr. Robert, sorry, this will not happen. With that out of the way, let's start with the first story. It's called Nailgun Compliance. This is a happy little story from my time as a warehouse assistant. It happened while working for a small business. The boss in question is actually a great dude. But like all bosses, he's under a ton of stress and has his moments. This particular piece of compliance revolves around a nail gun in use in the warehouse. Don't worry, no idiots were harmed in the writing of the story. So every afternoon we have pretty large shipments getting sent out. Everything sold for the day would be popped onto pallets and shipped off to the customers. Now pallets are surprisingly expensive. And if not sized properly, cost a fortune extra in freight. So we eventually started making our own in order to fit the size of the products being shipped, using the previously mentioned nail gun to put them together. All was going well until the delivery guy told us that, and I quote, "Those pallets of yours are crap and keep falling apart. Stop using the freaking nail gun and put them together properly." We looked into it and he was 100% right. The nails from the nail gun were super small, thin and couldn't grip. The warehouse manager could actually pull the pallets apart with his hand. So yeah, not good. It was reported to the admin folks upstairs and the show went on. From that point on, we started using normal nails instead. It took longer, but we were still saving money and the delivery folks were happy as clams. Now for the turn. One Friday, late in the afternoon, the boss comes down and lets us know that the sales team has just landed a big one. "We need some pallets, boys. I want us to ship this afternoon. Grab the nail gun and throw them together as soon as possible." "No problem, I'll get on it now." The boss goes back upstairs and I start belting pallets together using normal nails. 5 minutes later, the boss comes back down and he's fuming. "I can see you on the cameras. What the hell are you doing?" "Hammering the pallets up, boss." "As you said." "I said to use the nail gun." "Well, I would. But when we used it last time..." "No buts. We bought the nail gun, now you better use it. In fact, I'll show you how." So he takes the nail gun and slaps together a pallet in 20 seconds flat. It normally takes about 3 to 4 minutes by hammer. "There, see? Now do it the right way or go home." "Yes, boss." And so begins our compliance. I pick up the nail gun and smash out 5 fragile pallets in the space of about 3 minutes. Exactly the same way the bossman did, which I'm okay with. It's a lot easier. All while my coworkers giggled with glee. Come shipping time, I realize just why they are giggling. All the other forklift users are out for the rest of the afternoon, with local deliveries and general excuses. The only person with a fork license who was going to have to load the truck was, you guessed it, the boss man. So he picks up the first pallet and is about to load it onto the truck when the pallet is hit by a stray breeze and proceeds to fall apart on the forks. The delivery guy started to scream. "What did I tell you about those pallets? Are you idiots using that nail gun again?" The boss stammers, saying we needed them sent this afternoon and the nail gun should have done the job. "I don't care. I cannot take any of these pallets you've built with that nail gun. If they fall apart in our possession and damage something or someone, it's a nightmare. Do them again and I'll pick them up tomorrow." And with that parting gift in his own act of compliance, the delivery driver keeps to his word, closes the truck and drives off without our shipment. The boss sits in silence, contemplating the thousands of dollars in products which has now experienced a nice big shipping delay. Did I mention that this was a Friday? He called me over and said, "Retire the nail gun. And sorry about earlier. Don't worry about it. Want a hand getting all these back inside? And if you got some time before closing, I would appreciate some fresh pallets as well. On it. I'll have them knocked up in a bit." And the nail gun was never heard from again. Don't you all enjoy a happy ending? The next story is called World's Worst Invoice. I worked as an accountant for a company that auto-charts monthly for the use of their product. Part of my job would be to respond to customers who had questions regarding their invoices or credit card charges. These emails would be delivered to a general accounting email address so my coworkers and I could tackle them together. One day, an email arrives with the subject line, "World's Worst Invoice." I was excited to open this beauty of a complaint. The guy proceeds to go all caps throughout the email about how bad our invoices are and what the hell is he even being charged for. He was gracious enough to send a screenshot of the invoice itself. Turns out he was referencing the credit card receipt in his email. Being the thorough and diligent accountant I am, I wanted to ensure he was being charged correctly. I popped into the system to discover that he was actually being undercharged. Oh no! I corrected his account to confirm he'd be charged correctly going forward. And then I crafted my reply email. Thank you for pointing out the error in our system. Without your email, the incorrect charge would have gone unnoticed. Please note that the attachment you provided was of our credit card receipt. You may find your actual invoice attached for reference. Your invoice will include the additional charge of $80 next month for the additional users that were incorrectly charged for previously. I never received a reply. The third story is called Different Standards. Several years ago, I started working for a medical testing lab in the IT area. We supported the doctor's offices looking for results. Prior to this, they had only hired from within, so no one in the department had a background in IT. However, they knew the internal system. When I was hired, they allotted 4 weeks for training. By the end of week 2, I was bored out of my skull and asked to be put on the phones. After a few months, I started blowing the stats out of the water. I was doubling or tripling the number of calls taken and spending way less time on them. And judging from what I overheard some coworkers suggesting people do to fix problems, I can see why. Some of the instructions were just off the wall and made me wonder if they knew anything about computers. Cut to a year later and I'm getting my annual review. I know what I've done well, as they told me each month what my stats were. However, they gave me average marks across the board on review. What? Well, those people giving the weird solutions also received average marks across the board. Now, this affects my raise, so I'm confused. I had the best stats in the department and should have received the 2-step raise, but didn't because of this. I go back to my manager and ask about the marks they gave me. Well, we hold you to a different standard, and you've been meeting that standard. I was mad. It just kept repeating in my head. Different standard. Different standard. So I made note of the exact standard everyone else had and started bringing my work to that level. Well, as close as I could get. I still can't bring myself to give bad advice. But if the user needed to put me on hold, I wouldn't argue that pressing the power button only took a second. Just let them put me on hold as long as they like. I even suggested they go help patients and get to me when they could. I took extra time in documentation every second of my breaks. If a coworker asked for help, I would follow them back to their desk and assist them through the whole process instead of just sending them the directions. Well, come to find out, I had been raising the average for the whole department prior to this, giving the manager a nice bonus every 6 months. Well, with my compliance to that standard, the manager ended up missing a 6-month bonus and I changed jobs shortly after that. It was worth it. The last story is called Ganache Compliance. I work at a bakery, where we bake cakes, cookies, brownies and bread. Among other things, our main focus is cupcakes. A customer can walk in and choose from an array of cupcakes at any given time of our store hours. Some of our cupcakes are dipped in ganache as part of the decoration. However, if you try to dip a cupcake upside down into chocolate, the frosting is just gonna slide off. So we freeze the cupcakes. We have power freezers, so it's usually only about 30 minutes before the frosting is hard enough to dip. We have this one customer who we all call Ganache Lady. She comes in and chooses a cupcake at random, then asks us to put ganache on top. We've told her time and time again to call 30 to 40 minutes ahead of time so we can freeze the cupcake, which makes our life easier. And she would get the perfect amount of ganache. But no, she refuses to do it. The most recent time she was in, she wanted ganache on a raspberry cupcake. And of course, I was the one to serve her. I had dealt with her before, and the previous time I had her, she sent me to the back 3 times to put more ganache on her cupcake. This time, I think she recognized me and made sure to say, "Put a lot of ganache." Like, a lot, and didn't even say please. Now, our ganache bottles that we typically use for filling cupcakes with chocolate are roughly the shape of a stereotypical cookout condiment bottle, only curvier. The top screws off. So I go to the back, microwave the bottle so the ganache flows easier, and put the cupcake in one of our serving bowls. I unscrew the top and turn the bottle completely upside down and just let it run. When the cupcake is completely covered on top and ganache is dripping down the sides, I take it back to Ganache Lady. I would have poured the whole bottle on the cupcake if I could have gotten even half the reaction that she gave me. She stared at it for a solid 20 seconds in complete silence before glaring at me. "I didn't mean that much." "I'm sorry, but you said a lot." "It's fine. I didn't mean that much, but it's fine. You could call ahead so we can freeze the cupcake, then it would be the perfect amount." She glares at me more and proceeds to lick some chocolate off her fingers and puts her chocolatey spit-covered fingers on my pen to sign the receipt. I threw the pen out, but since then she's been much less picky. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.